when we come out of college and we get our first job, that's the most money we've ever made. Like we are like, I am rich. And you still should function as if you're a poor college student. Not to say, luxury is not something you should have. You should not, get yourself some nicer things and some finer things because then you're an adult. But I will say, put it away for a rainy day.
Welcome to the Teacher Money Show, the podcast dedicated to helping educators like yourself navigate your unique financial challenges and unlock your financial superpowers. I'm your host, Shaun Morgan, a full-time teacher and entrepreneur, and I'm here to help teachers navigate everything related to your money. Whether you have questions about budgeting on a teacher's salary, managing student loans, increasing your income, or making the most of your benefits, I'm here to make money less confusing, more empowering, and a tool you can use to focus on what matters most. So whether you're a seasoned teacher looking for fresh insights or a new educator navigating your first paycheck, this podcast is your go-to resource for all things money related. So if you're ready to have a richer wallet, classroom, and life, let's dive in. The contents of this podcast are informational in nature and are not legal or tax advice, and neither I nor my guests are engaged in the provision of legal, tax, or any other advice. You should not act upon this information without first seeking appropriate advice from an accountant, financial planner, lawyer, or other professional. I'm so excited for this podcast episode. We've got Benita Gordon on with us today, and it's going to be a fantastic conversation about just preparing now for our financial future in education. And before we get into that fantastic conversation, I just want to remind everyone to subscribe to the show, leave us an honest rating and review. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like that and comment and all these things just to help us reach more educators as we're trying to help educators become financially literate. Also, just want to remind everyone that if you are interested in our coaching, you can come onto the show and get free financial coaching at any time. So just go to teachermoneyshow.com/guest for that opportunity. All right, but enough of that. Let's just dive in talking to Benita. So let's just, hear a little bit about Benita here. So Benita C. Gordon is a visionary educator with 24 plus years of experience, specializing in progressive and disruptive education. She's the CEO of GGEC Academy, a groundbreaking micro school, and founder of Global Education Concierge, BGLLC, offering coaching, consulting, and training services. Benita's mission is to streamline education nationally and globally, simplifying processes. She hosts the Education Concierge podcast, facilitating enlightening conversations on education. Benita's unwavering dedication is reshaping the future of learning. Now, if you are not excited to listen to this podcast after that, well, you better be, because it's going to be awesome.
Yes.
Welcome to the show, Benita.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to be here. And, we're talking about some things that people don't like to talk about. Educators, we are scared to talk about money because we don't make it.
Amen to that. Well, before we get into the nitty gritty of the the finance part, can you tell us a little bit about your education journey and how you got into education, how you got to where you are now, and so forth?
So I wish I could say that I was sitting around teaching my teddy bears and just all excited, but I wasn't. I grew up in a family of educators. My mom was an educator. Both of my grandmothers, aunts and uncles, all in Virginia and Georgia, South Carolina, Philly, in education and other jobs, but a lot of educators. My mom was in education, oh my gosh, 30 plus years. She taught first grade and then she did a dropout prevention program. And so I grew up, understanding that was not a lot of money. It was a service, it's a service field. I saw, her work, and she also worked at the local university teaching teachers. And so I knew it was something that was in her heart. And I was like, I don't want to do that. So I was a nursing major, applying to schools in Virginia, Hampton University, Norfolk State, Virginia Tech, University of Richmond, like all of the schools, and didn't want to leave the state of Virginia. Got into Hampton University, attended and changed my major to early childhood education. And my parents are excited because Hampton University is a private HBCU. So the tuition was high, is even higher now. And my parents are like, we knew you should be in education. We were letting you forge your own path. And I have been stuck in education since then. I've taught in third grade. And then I got into middle school and loved it. And I know, don't judge me, y'all. I did. I love it. That is where my heart is. It is the most difficult out of all of the upper level, lower level, high school. Middle school is the most difficult, but that's where I saw myself. And I've taught overseas, in UAE, did some time in Spain, was a teacher's aide there, loved it. Up and down the East Coast, DC, Tampa, Pensacola, Miami, Virginia, Maryland, DC, just everywhere. I was a former military spouse, so that's, you move every 2 years, which we know that means I never got tenure. So that affects the funding and that affects your retirement. And I just love education. I am an educator. People will say, "Are you a teacher?" I'm not. Teaching is something that can be confined to four walls, but I'm an educator. So I never stop helping people learn, helping people grow. And I love it. And this year that just passed on my birthday, I retired from the traditional classroom and said, let me move out of the way, but let me still be in education, work on a micro school, and then I coach and consult and advise, and help the new generation of teachers become excellent like I think I was, maybe.
Oh man, that's a crazy journey.
Yes.
I can empathize with so many things that you just said. First of all, I think that middle school can, like, when you're looking at a traditional school, can be way more fun than high school, because all in high school there's all the tests that you're pushing towards and all this, like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that.
Mhm.
Middle school, you can just have fun with it. So, for anyone that's dogging on middle school, yeah, they're a little bit more of a pain sometimes, but you can have more fun. So
You
there you
do.
go.
You
And then,
do.
I've moved every few years out of choice, not because not because I had to. So I also experienced the not so much on the tenure side. So that does change a lot of
Mhm.
the way you're thinking. You're not just like, oh yeah, I'll be fine. You have to really focus in on that, and
Yes.
that's really what we're going to be talking about. But I just, because I'm a little bit like, that dog squirrel. Can you tell us about micro schools and what that concept is?
Yes. So micro skills. So I've always thought outside the box as an educator. Sometimes got in trouble for it, sometimes not. But decided just maybe about 5 years ago, was looking for what does school choice really mean? And what did that encompass? And started going to different conferences, listening to podcasts, and came across, I knew about Montessori, and came across unschooling, homeschooling, of course, and then micro schools. So during COVID, they really popped up. They were called pods, where parents were not comfortable sending their children back into the public charter or private school setting, but they were just saying, okay, you know what, I have this extra space in my home. If I get 10 of my friends and a teacher that is not comfortable going back, we'll pay you, you teach our kids and you go forward. So micro school, I think of it as two ways. I think of it as what we used to do back in the day when you had that one classroom, all of the kids are in there K through 12, and then you worked as a group, but you also had them separate so that you could teach them exactly what they needed per grade. And then I also think of it now as we have a lot of parents that realize that their child does best in a non-traditional school, but because of economics, they both have to work. And so they can't homeschool because they need to pay for the home. And so they come to our learning center, they come to GGEC Academy. Here in Florida, we are able to get them some funding through the Step Up grant, and then some parents are able to pay out of pocket. And so we do all of those things, and just give the students an opportunity to come out of the traditional classroom so they do not lose the love of learning, but they are no longer interested in schooling the way that they've been brought up since kindergarten. And so we're opening that, and it's specifically for tweens and teens. So we don't take anyone younger than 11.
That is awesome. I like, out of the box thinking. I think that it's a shame that teachers get in trouble for out of the box thinking.
Yes.
That's just so sad, so sad. Especially because, if education isn't working, then you need to think of something else, right? I went to a conference once, and they polled all the teachers that were in this, workshop. There's like 30 of us. Like, how do you feel about school choice? Go to one side of the room or the other. And there's me and one other person on the sure school choice, and everyone else is like, no, it's evil. Like it's going to destroy the world. I'm like, but what we're doing isn't working. So like, maybe we need to come up with some new innovative ideas. And I love the idea of a micro school. I think that's awesome. The school I work for is actually helping a micro school, because like they're doing a micro school and then they're using our online curriculum to like supplement the micro school. So there's innovative things happening in education. It might be hard to see that if you're in just a traditional public school like classroom right now, but there are awesome innovative things happening out there. Look into those, and I'm sure Benita could tell you all about them.
I love it. And we have to remember that school choice isn't a competition, because we can't teach all of the kids. So it's an opportunity for us to really say, we can teach all the kids, but some of them are going to have to go here and some are going to have to go here. And so that's what I always tell people. We're not in competition. We are just here to say, okay, let's take a group over here and help them to be successful, because we want successful citizens. That's what we want.
I mean, as teachers, we know that small groups are the best way to handle students. So like, if we can get them in a good spot, right? In the town I live in, they're really trying to expand and do different things. And one of the schools that they're opening right now is an agricultural high school. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but like my whole city is like all about agriculture. So the fact that they're, trying something different, I think that's great. The students that need that, that send them there, right? Instead of shoving them through the pipeline of like, you're going towards college, but I don't want college. I want this, I think that's awesome.
It is necessary. I love that. I would come visit that. Like I want to come see how that works, because I grew up in rural Virginia, and we had, 4-H and agriculture, and we had the career path system, and we had the college path, and there was nothing wrong with it. Like we didn't think we were better than anybody, because I can't fix the AC in my house when it breaks down. And I'm going to pay them a lot of money in Miami in the middle of the night. They're going to charge me extra. And I'm okay with that, because I need that service person. I rely on him or her to come do something that I have not been trained and am not interested. But this is what they love to do, and I appreciate it.
I totally agree. I always tell my students, you don't have to go to college. You need to get an education. But you don't have to go to college. You need to learn something, learn a skill, learn an idea, like learn how to do something. That's an education, but you don't have to go to college if that's not for you. So I think that's a huge, thank goodness we're kind of shifting back that direction, because we swung on the everyone goes to college side a bit too much. And I think it's good that we're swinging just a little bit more. I think we need to pull just a bit more towards like, doing something that's not college is okay. That's huge.
Nobody needs all that student loan debt.
Amen. Okay. Speaking of student loan debt, if you have debt, or if you are just trying to prepare for retirement, do you see that segue? How do you do that? Like, what do teachers need to be thinking about as they're preparing for their financial future?
So the first two things are what my parents told me, and I live by that. Start early and join a credit union. Like, those are the first two things my parents told me. And then when I say start early, I'm gonna look. I started teaching at 23, and I was still partying. Let's just be real. Okay, I was still partying. My parents had not cut me off yet, because I just graduated, and I am older than some. So we got paid once a month in Virginia, and so they knew it was going to take me a moment to balance my paycheck, my budget. And I still had a part-time job. And so I will say, do a budget, and then sit down and put away as much as you can. And So what we have to think about is, unlike corporate America, we're not always in a system where they match what we put into their retirement. And so go to the credit union. And matter of fact, there are other places now that you can put your money in savings and it will make money for you. And then invest. When you're young, you can invest and don't worry about it. Really look at it. Let it go. And I would even say, have a financial advisor, meet with a financial advisor. And so they can help you look at your money so your money can grow. And so credit union, invest, and do your own savings account and your own retirement that's separate from the school district and system that you're in. That when you, like, if you're like myself and Shaun and you move around, my retirement stayed with the same company. I just changed my address and then I continue to put money in.
Okay, there is a lot to unpack there. So they're starting early, join a credit union, and invest for the future, have your own savings and retirement account. Let's break down each of these things because I think they're so important. So just a thought on starting early. They say that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is today, right? So early is now.
Right now. And so, and I say that because, you can, when we come out of college and we get our first job, that's the most money we've ever made. Like, we are like, I am rich. And you still should function as if you're a poor college student. Not to say, luxury is not something you should have. You should not, get yourself some nicer things and some finer things because then you're an adult. But I will say, put it away for a rainy day. Put it to the side and set some goals so that you can see what you're going to do. But I would say start early. And I have to be honest, I've had to start over because life happens and you have to take some things out of retirement and you move and you want to buy a house and you pull somewhere, things happen and you just start over and you start over then and you make a plan. So when I say start early, that means, and even if you're switching careers, we have a lot of educators who this is their second career. Don't mess with that 401k from when you were a lawyer. Leave that alone. Start a new one with your teacher salary. So now when you get ready to retire, you have what you have over here and you put it together so that you can have a great retirement.
I love that. Just to keep harping on this start early idea.
Start early.
It's not going to ever be a better time. Like, you always think, oh, next year when I get a raise. Mm-hmm. Well, next year they're going to give you a raise that's like 3%, whoop-de-doo, and then your insurance premium is going to go up, and it feels like you didn't make a raise anyway. Every time.
And I constantly have to share that with people who are not in education. They're like, "Oh, you guys just got a 5% raise." That's right, and our health insurance is up 3%. Like every time, or something else.
Like, they're just waiting. I'm waiting for it to go up, and then it doesn't make a difference. So start now, and if you put money aside immediately, like before you do, and like before your first paycheck arrives, tell your HR, take this much out, 1%, 2%, 3%, like even just that much, right? Just a little bit. I would recommend more if you can, but if you do that before you even get your first paycheck, you're not going to miss it because you never got it, right? So that's part of starting early. And if you've already started getting a paycheck, when the new year starts, before you see your next, your changed paycheck for the new year, that's another great time to just put some away, because you're not going to know the difference, because you're like, oh, well, I guess this year I make this much. That's part of starting early.
So a lot of times we do after school tutoring, we get some bonus for summer school. Put that away. Send it on over. And I love that you said that. I remember I was teaching, my first year teaching middle school. I had my check and I said, okay, we're going to put 10% over here and this over here. Somehow the numbers got switched. And so my first check came and 90% of my check went to savings. And I was a newlywed at the time. So I was, we were both bringing in money. He's military, I'm a teacher. And I get my check and I'm like dumbfounded. I'm like, now this is like my third year teacher. So I know something, and I don't owe anybody, like, what's going on? And I went downstairs and I was in tears. And my principal, Mr. Cheevius, I'll never forget, he looked at me, he was like, what's wrong? And so I handed her my check, and he and the secretary figured it out because I was just a mess. And so they were able to call, pull some strings, and get them to cut me another check. Because it was like the morning, it was like 11. And so by 4 o'clock, I had a new check with the correct amount, and then the correct amount going to my retirement, but also check your pay stubs every time you get paid. I know now we do direct deposit, but you should be able to sign into a location. And like you said, you can change your allotment. You can change how much you send. When you get that bonus, send it on in. Your teacher of the year bonus, go ahead and send it in. Just, you don't need that. And so I love that.
Because everyone listening to this podcast is getting the teacher of the year bonus.
Yeah. We all deserve it.
We all deserve it. Every teacher's teacher of the year. So credit unions. Why credit unions? What's special about those?
So a credit union, you're a part of it. You own a little piece of it. And it is a lot of times you get to know the people there. They are much more understanding of service or laborers, understanding of what we're going through, and they understand the financial side of things. It's easier at times to be able to purchase a home, to purchase your car, to get a better deal with your percentage rates. And so because you're putting your money in, you will see the benefits of the credit union much better than the bank. Now, do I still use the bank? I do. But my main accounts are always going to be with a credit union. And I see that little dividend at the end of the year because I've been putting my money in. And then, of course, that goes right back into my savings account. You can do whatever you want, even being able to get credit cards and extending how much you put on the card. But because they know, like, we have you, you're part of our community. What do you need? Because you own some of this credit union. It's not a bank. You're putting your money in, you own a little bit. And how can we help you? So it's much more agreeable, I feel, to those of us in the service industry, because that's what teaching is. We're in the service industry. And so they're able to have classes. One of the things I loved about the credit union I'm with, they have classes. You can go online. I can constantly talk to someone. If I need a financial planner, they are free. I just need to sign up online and schedule it. It could be virtual. I can go into the credit union. And so just they seem to be much more understanding. I can't say family-like, but much more human when it comes to any type of situations. They try and work with you because they just understand it a little bit more.
That's fantastic. I didn't know that credit unions did all those things. I mean, like, I knew they get better rates.
Yes.
But a free financial planner of some kind,
Mhm.
that is an amazing perk. I'm gonna check if my credit union has that, because
Yes.
that sounds awesome.
Right. And if they don't have it, tell them they need it. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm already putting my money here. I'm part of this company. At least do a class so we can all see it, or give me something to start with. Do you have a booklet? Normally they have all of those things because they want you to have great credit, because that means it improves their bottom line.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just, as another little tidbit, credit unions often do like community outreach events and things
Yes.
like that too.
Yes.
I mean, this is silly, but like my ice cream scooper is just like a free gift that a credit union gave me because they're doing something with the community. Like, here, have an ice cream scooper. It's like, whatever. But
Thank you.
I don't have a bank that gave me an ice cream scooper, right?
Right.
There's more community connection because credit unions are generally small, local, and connected to the community.
And they normally do, even if, we need to all be teaching financial literacy to our students. And so I've seen credit unions come in for free and like teach some, just the basics that we needed, and show them how to, what does it mean to have a debit card? Because, the kids grow up seeing their parents swipe, 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 but they don't understand it's connected to an account that you need to have money in. And so just the basics. And they came in and did some sessions for free, where I'm not sure I never asked the bank. I just knew the credit union, like you said, was always in the community. And so I just went to them and they were like, oh my gosh, yes, because they can get customers. Um, and so I was like, I love it. So that's why I love credit unions.
Yeah, that's great advice. There's these little bitty ways to save money, to get better financial education, and a credit union is definitely one of them. All right, so let's shift to investing. So how can a teacher invest? Teachers often say to, I've got a pension. Like, I've got a pension. Like, why would I need to do anything? So why should a teacher invest? What should they invest in? Maybe not that specific, but like, what do you?
So I grew up in a time where investing was typically for people who made a lot of money. It was not typically for the middle class or the low income. But now that's not the same. Now I pick up my phone. I have Robinhood. I pick up my phone and I have can't remember the other app, and I can invest now. And so one of the things that I always tell my nieces and nephews who also are investors early, invest in what you love. I love Coach. I love Chipotle. Like, are they up there? You wear a lot of Nike. Do you travel a lot? What company do you use all the time? Can you invest in them? And now you can invest small. You can put in as little as $5 per pay and start investing. You can listen to podcasts, listen to your podcast. You can listen to other podcasts and they give you more information on how to diversify, how to invest and not thinking about it. Some people like to invest and they watch it and that's their thing, especially my math teachers. That's their thing. And so I think when you're looking at investing, you want to be strategic. I think also it's about age. My age group, we are not as, we are much more strategic and kind of hold it in a little bit. Where when I was younger and when I started investing in my 30s, I was like, whatever, because the stock market is going to go up and down. And so you have to not get nervous, let it ride, because remember, this is something I'm not going to touch until retirement. And we're not going to mess with this. This is just going to ride it out. I'm going to keep adding and keep adding, keep turning it over, keep investing. And so I think we as educators, we have to start being financially literate about that part, because that's the part that will add to our pension. So we already know that we say we might have a pension. We are not guaranteed a pension. And even a lot of our pensions are in the stock market. So there have been cities and states that have lost a lot of money. They've gotten it back, but they've lost a lot of money because sometimes they put that in the stock market to keep it going. And so I think as educators, we have to educate ourselves on what we want to invest in, how we want to invest. And then once again, when you get that bonus, I love Jamaica. I love going on cruises, but I also know that I want to do it when I retire at 55. When I retire at 58, I still want to go on cruises and I want to have that money accessible. So sometimes delayed gratification is great.
Amen. Delayed gratification, the number one, skill that people need to cultivate in general is delayed gratification, especially in this world of just like fast-paced, more information, more, you get bored, you move on. Delayed gratification is going to help everybody just in the long run to be more successful. And investing is a huge way to do that. I love how you pointed out you can invest little amounts, right? People think like, oh, Amazon is, like $2,000 a share, whatever it is. I don't even know what Amazon shares are. It's like, there's no way I could invest in that. It's probably like 200 or something, but still, like, that's a lot of money. But there's things called fractional shares where you can invest. Like it's like everybody that wants to invest $5, invest $5 together to buy one share of Amazon. And then you have like one, 200th of a share, whatever it is. And that's fine because it'll still grow and grow and grow.
Yes.
So you don't have to have a ton of money to invest. You can start investing early. I think there's an app called Acorns, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
It rounds up, like you make a purchase and it'll round up to the next dollar and invest it for you. And that doesn't sound like much, but over time, it's going to add up. It's going to become something, especially if you start early.
Yes.
And then I really love how you pointed out that, if you love a company, if it's a good company and you use it all the time, that's probably a good place to start as an investment, because I mean, you believe in it, right?
You
I'm
believe
not
in
going to invest in some random Chinese company I've never heard of just because my buddy said, I heard from a really reliable source that this company can't lose. No, don't do that. Okay. If you don't know because you have educated yourself, don't do it. Okay. And then if you don't want to educate yourself, I highly recommend you look into index funds,
it. That's the
because
word.
instead of
Yes.
investing in individual stocks that you have to learn about, you can just say, I'm going to invest in everything, right? So like
Mhm.
you can invest in an index, which is just a whole bunch of stocks, right? So you have like the S&P 500, which is the 500 top stocks in America. So you invest in all of them by investing in this one index. And if a company starts to lose, they drop off of the S&P
Mhm.
500 and a new one pops on. So it's never going to go to zero. It'll always be, growing. It couldn't go down, but it'll always grow over time.
Mhm.
I mean, if it goes to zero, then the world's ended. So you don't have to worry about retirement anymore.
Everybody says zero.
It doesn't matter. So
Right.
that's a good easy way to invest, to just earn
Yeah.
money over the long haul without even having to worry about it. And there's lots of we can do a whole show on index funds,
Yeah.
which I'm sure
Yeah.
we will do later. But that's just something to start thinking about and educate yourself.
Right. And I love, and I will even say, as an educator, my middle schoolers, when cryptocurrency came out, I was like, I don't know. And I literally had to go read on it. And I was like, this has nothing to do with ELA. Like, why am I in here? But I did not want to negate the fact that they were thinking about money and they were thinking about investing. My only disclaimer to them was, this is new. I don't know what is happening. I would invest in traditional stuff in the beginning and watch the new stuff. I said, because this is really, really new. And they were like, that makes sense. And I said, I would put my money in traditional index S&P, maybe some, companies. You want to be an investor in a company. And then let's watch some of these new things. So, but a lot of it I learned from our students, and we would just Google together in class, which had nothing to do with ELA, but had everything because they were reading. They were reading, and I was enjoying it, and they were presenting. So I was like, okay. The math teacher would come in and go, "What is happening, girl? I don't know." It took over. I sat down.
You're reading an informational text that is totally
Yeah.
ELA. Yeah, they can get over it. You can just tell them that you're meeting some of the standards in there somewhere. It's fine.
Yeah, somewhere it's there.
Oh man, yeah. So I love how you said like you didn't understand it, so you went to find out more about it.
Yes.
Yeah, I made a dumb mistake with crypto. A friend of mine told me that he invested in crypto and his neighbor invested in crypto and made all this money. And I'm like, I mean, I guess maybe I should try. And he said, yeah, well, I look into these things. So I put money in crypto, and it turned out good for me because I put money in, and then it went up, and then I had a bill to pay. So I pulled all the money out to pay this bill.
Okay.
Then it crashed like a week later, and I'm like, I'm a genius, but I'm not, right? Okay.
So
I'm not a genius. That's the thing. Is anyone who thinks that they are a genius because they made money by just like throwing money in and pulling it out and they happen to be right, you're not. Okay. There's no one that can predict the market reliably all the time. So it's important to realize that things are going to swing up and down. And if you want to invest in something, you need to be in it for the long haul and not be, just pulling it out or thinking that it's going to happen. Even the people that claim to know what's going to happen and invest for you, like if you get like a person to invest for you, they do worse with their investing than people who just let it ride. There was a study done by Vanguard, which is my favorite study ever. They asked themselves who did the best at Vanguard, who was the best investor, and the people who did the best were dead.
Oh.
Because they never touched their money. They put the money in and then they died, and it just sat there and grew and grew and grew. So they were the best investors because they weren't messing with it, right? So if we're trying to buy and sell and mess with it, you're going to do worse than being dead.
So it's like if anybody out there that cooks, okay, those of us who cook, we know. So keep flipping that hamburger. Just when it's time to flip it over. And that's what investing is like. Put it in there and let it cook. Okay. You may have to take it out a little bit to do some life-changing stuff. put some more back in there, let it grow again. And that's what investing is about. And you're so correct. Like you cannot predict um the stock market, just like we don't do a good job with the weather. We just started being great about predicting the weather and we still mess that up. So stock market, um, don't be scared. You need to invest, learn, grow. You have this podcast, you have YouTube, you have financial literacy books and classes. So do not wait. Go ahead and jump in the water. It's okay.
I want to get like a shirt or something that says "Put it in there and let it cook."
Let it cook.
Let it cook.
Let it cook.
That's great. It's a good analogy. And then the last thing that you brought up was making sure you own your own savings and your own retirement. Why is it important? How do you do that?
So I grew up in a home where my mom and dad constantly reminded us that you probably won't have a pension. Like the government will probably not have enough because my parents are baby boomers, so my dad's 78 now, Vietnam vet, and so he's like, you just don't do that. And my grandparents came in the 20s, so they saw, the busting of the banks and the whole thing. They were there, they witnessed it, didn't trust banks. It was hard to get them to put their money into the bank account. And so one of the things I always say is that I am like you. I never stayed in the same place, even after the military. After we were finished with the military, I still moved around, went overseas, came back, still moved around. And so I had to own my own retirement because I have like 6 different states and 6 different districts that have a little bit of retirement in there to help. But I needed to have something consistent. So when I look at it, I say, okay, how much more do I need to put in? Is this enough for me to walk away? And my mother would tell us to make sure you have some, she would say, F you money. I think there's a better terminology they use now where, if you're tired of your job, you're like, no, peace out. And that's what I was always looking at. Like, do I have enough in retirement to take a year off? Do I have enough in my own retirement? It's separate from the city, from the district that I work in, that I control. I can max it out. I can work my second job. That money goes straight into there. And so I say own your own retirement because I just grew up understanding that the government doesn't owe you anything and it may not be there. And so control what you can control.
Yeah, amen. I mean, control what you can control. It may not be there. I mean, we're already seeing that, right? Yeah. I joined, teaching when they were on like tier 4 of the retirement system, and like I'm looking over like if you're on joining today, you're tier 4. I'm like, what's tier 1? And I look at the benefits of tier 1 pension versus tier 4. I'm like, I'm getting hosed, like they're getting rid of them. So, I mean, it might be there for you, but if you are prepared to retire as if you had no pension and then you get a pension, I mean, like, wouldn't you like to have that much more money on top of the retirement you've already saved for yourself so you can go on cruises all the time and whatever else you want to do? So you can go fly and visit your grandkids or whatever it is, right? Yes. Having the money on top of the pension on top of your money is going to be a way better life than like, I'm going to barely squeak by and the pension will be there for me at the end. Right. So that's really important.
And when we say own it, I also grew up understanding that you have your life insurance at the school district, but we also had our own life. I have my own life insurance with a different company. Just as it is to make sure that I am leaving money or having money for myself for generations to come. I have nieces and nephews, so if you need to take care of auntie, I don't want to be a financial burden. It's going to be enough that you have to take care of auntie, possibly. So make sure I put the money away, have the money over here. But if that's not the case, I do want to travel. I want to go with them. I want to go, to graduations and help them through college because we know, just because you got a scholarship doesn't mean you don't need extra money in your pocket. and to cash up them some. And so I think it's important for us to own that and understand what does it mean to put money to the side in appropriate life insurance? What does it mean to put money aside in Roth IRA, 401b, 401(3), opt for, all of those, understanding all of those terminologies and which one is best for you or which ones are best for you. Getting down to the end, how much more can you add? Did you max it out? And so we just have to, budgeting comes into play when we're looking at what's my goal. And I remember being 23 and like to retirement, but my parents were like, and now I'm closer to retirement than I've ever been before. And I can see the progress that I've made, and where I need to do, some places I need to catch up. But I think it's important that you sit down and you plan ahead. And like you said, when you retire, you want to go fly, see your friends, see your grandkids, fly away by yourself, whatever you want to do, but you have to start now.
I love it. Well, Benita, we are coming towards the end of our time here. I had 9 questions to ask you today, and I've got to 2. So that means I need to have you back sometime because this has been a ton of fun.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And yes, that's what happens. So we get in there and we go, okay, let's unpack this. So we can have some great information so we can listen to this podcast over and over again and stick to a plan.
It's just like teaching where you want to get through so much. And then I had 9 standards to teach this year and I made it through 2. Right?
And guess what?
Thing.
The kids will be okay.
The kids will be okay. The kids will be okay. I love it. So I have 2 more questions for you that hopefully don't take us the same amount of time as these.
Okay, let's go.
What is your number 1 tip for teachers to have a richer wallet, classroom, and life?
Find what you're good at and then make money off of it. We already know. We signed up. People are like, oh, they signed up. I didn't sign up to be poor. I do know what education holds. And then find your thing and then side hustle and make your money and put your money away doing something that you love also. And it doesn't have to be connected to education. I was a photographer. I'm a photographer on the side, make great money, and find that thing. And then sometimes people leave education because they're making more money from the side hustle. Sometimes we don't. But I would say definitely stay in education, but find that thing that's going to bring you some money outside of the classroom. Legally.
I love it's something that you love, right? Because I hate it when someone says, yeah, I need more money. So I went and, I started waiting tables, I guess. Like if you really liked it, I mean, like I know a guy who was a bartender during the summer because he really liked it.
Yes.
Right. But if you're just like, oh, I'm doing this just because I need money, like that's just going to suck your soul really fast, right? You need to find something you love. So that way you're energized by making money on the side. And that way you're not burning yourself out doubly fast, right? I think that is huge. Awesome tip. I love it. I'm all about the side hustle. I think that is fantastic. It's a very important thing for teachers, especially these days. All right. Last question, the hard question. Where can teachers get in contact with you?
Oh my goodness. I am on Instagram, the Edu Concierge. I am also on LinkedIn. So those are the 2 places I'm constantly on. I'm on TikTok, but definitely go to Instagram, the Edu Concierge, and LinkedIn under my name, Benita Gordon. And like I tell people, if you need something, slide into my DMs professionally. Okay.
Professionally. All right. And on your podcast, right? They can follow you.
Yes. Follow me on the podcast. We're on YouTube, Conversations About Education. And we're on Spotify, which used to be Anchor, the Education Concierge podcast. And come listen to listen to Shaun's podcast, then jump over and listen to mine. Learn about your money and then learn about how to be a better educator so that you can make more money.
All right. I love it. Thank you so much. If you would like to get to these links, you can go to our show notes, which you can find at teachermoneyshow.com/podcast. And you can find all of our show notes at teachyourmoneyshow.com/podcast. Thank you so much, Benita, for being here. It's been a fun time having you.
Thank you so much. And just keep doing this. It is important for educators to get our money straight and together. And I appreciate this podcast. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
If you'd like to come on the podcast for coaching, to share an expert opinion, or just to talk about a topic you think is relevant, I'd love to talk to you. Just fill out the form at teachyourmoneyshow.com/guest. I look forward to talking with you.